Today, I'm really excited to be talking about perhaps the most famous and traditional coin that any collector could have in their collection, the sovereign. Let me talk you through just a little of the history of the sovereign, and then I'm going to tell you about my favourite two classic sovereigns. Both have a great story. I get really excited about them. And if you can afford either of them, any serious collector would want to have one of these, probably both of them, in their collection. The great news is recently we managed to source one of each of these for two of our collectors who wanted them. And I thought while they were here in the building, and before they get sent out to their new owners, I'd get some video of them together so I can show them off to you. You're going to love these. First, let's do a little bit of history. The first ever sovereign was struck in 1489, authorised by Henry VII. It was a gold hammered coin, of course. Now, it was too valuable to go into circulation, and it served as a presentation piece that was given out to dignitaries. Later, in the 16th century, the sovereign was the first coin to be valued at £1. And over the years, the size and the fineness fluctuated. Gradually, though, through the next 100 years or so, as the value of gold changed and different political and royal influences came and went, the sovereign fell out of favour and it was replaced by the guinea. Now that continued until 1816, and at that time the Royal Mint was tasked with bringing out suitable new coinage. And in 1817, they brought out the first modern sovereign. This coin was 22 karat gold, 7.98 grams in weight, 22.05 millimeters in diameter and 1.52 millimeters thick. And since then, the Mint single sovereign have kept these exact same specifications. You can see here an original 1817 sovereign, which we've managed to source recently. Now, you know, when I get to hold this in my hand, I love it. It's a real piece of numismatic history, the first modern sovereign. The artist who produced both sides of the coin was Benedetto Pistrucci. He was a famous Italian sculptor living in London at the time and moving among the elite. Because of this, he was hired to work on the new coinage, and he actually personally worked on the dies used to strike the coins so that his design was as perfect as it could be. That's really unusual, that doesn't often happen. He had worked on a neoclassical interpretation of St. George and the Dragon, and he used this as his inspiration for the reverse of the sovereign. While he also made a bust of George III, the king at the time, and transferred that to the obverse, or the head side, of the coin. This new design was really quite unusual because at the time most Royal Mint coins were heraldic in their design, but they wanted the sovereign to look as different as possible to the guinea that it was replacing. So that's the 1817 sovereign, the very first modern sovereign, and if you've got one of these in your collection, you've done very well indeed. Now, let me jump forward 120 years to my very favourite classic sovereign. All monarchs since George III, since 1817, had sovereigns minted for most of the years of their reign, some with a variety of sovereign designs as well. However, despite reigning for over 15 years, George VI only ever had sovereigns minted on one of those years, and unlike many previous sovereigns which had gone into circulation individually, he only had 5001 sovereign sets struck. Each set had 4 coins in it: the half sovereign, the double sovereign, and the quintuple sovereign. So in other words, the only way to get a George VI sovereign is to find one of only 5001 ever produced, which have somehow been broken up and sold on in the years that followed. Why 5001, I hear you ask? I'm told he was a bit of a coin collector himself, so he wanted a set to keep. Now I love that, and I absolutely love this coin. Over the years, I've spoken to so many collectors who try to get at least one sovereign for each monarch since George III, since 1817. Some even try to get every design of sovereign, and others try to get one for every year the sovereign's been released. All of those are very rare feats indeed, but all of them would love this coin. It's amongst the rarest sovereigns you can have, and certainly any monarch sovereign collection is not fully complete without the 1937. The design of the 1937 sovereign features that classic Pistrucci design that we talked about earlier. But the head side, the obverse side, is actually described in the Royal Mint Museum as the classic coinage head of the 20th century. That's incredible praise, especially when you realise that the designer, Humphrey Paget, had very little time to design it following the sudden abdication of Edward VIII. I can't tell you how much I love this sovereign. I think I've said it 4 or 5 times already. It is the collector's dream sovereign, and I love it on the very odd occasion that we managed to source one of these for you. I'm lucky that I get to have a good look at it and hold it in my gloved hands, always in my gloved hands. Now, it is not easy to come by and it's not ever cheap, but if you ever really would like us to go and source one of these for you, please give us a call and ask to speak to one of our specialists here. I can make no promises. This is a tough coin to find. Now, if you're a collector of sets of coins, sets of sovereigns, on the extremely rare occasion, we do get a complete 1937 set with all 4 coins, but they are becoming increasingly scarce. I'd love to know though what your favourite sovereign is. Maybe you've got it in your collection or one that you would love to add to your collection. Let me know in the comments below. I am off now to let a couple of our collectors know that they are fortunate enough to be the new owners of an 1817 and a 1937 sovereign. I love making those calls to collectors and making their day. I wish you well, and I'll see you next time.